Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Boardroom Bounce channel. We've got a great show for you tonight. It's our top 10 horror films, and we have a fantastic guest with us tonight. We have an actor / director in Cole Hester. How you doing, Cole? All the way from America. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Just here in Los Angeles, and it's raining outside, running through the raindrops. So it's a beautiful day because we don't get much rain here. So I'm sure that you get enough.
We get it all the time, mate. We get it all the time. We've also got Sir Johnny with us. How you doing, Johnny?
Yeah, not too bad, my friend. You well?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. All good, mate. And
I think,
obviously,
I think it's
frozen.
You still there, Cole?
No,
Yeah,
I can see you now.
And we've got Lev with us. How you doing, Lev? You okay?
I'm all right, mate. I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be interesting. Don't get to interview film directors from live in a cell, do you? It's brilliant.
No, we don't.
Let's get it right. Let's get it right. Cole is one badass motherfucker, so he needs to be there.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Just before we get going, Cole, give us a little
here's
bit
the thing, man. Since we're all
sorry, mate, go on.
All right.
I was just about to say, before we start,
so
a little bit of information about yourself.
Okay, cool. My name is Kyle Hester. I'm an actor and a producer. I have not directed yet, but that will be coming. And basically, I started doing this whole thing when I was in the 7th grade. It's in drama class, and just kind of went from there. I went to a performing arts high school, and did all Cal Arts, which is California Institute of the Arts out here in America. It's a pretty good school, and I got the bug early and never gave up on it because I am insane. So,
Hey, Cole, is it true as well? I mean, I read a little bit about yourself, like attending the performing and visual arts, but you're also a good dancer. Is that correct? Bit of a John Travolta.
Look at that. Look at that, man! Bringing you did your research. Yeah, I was. I did. I was in a couple of jazz companies. So, like when I got out of high school, I was there's in Houston. There's a jazz company. I don't know if it's still there anymore. Delia Stewart, which is a pretty big deal in Houston. So yeah, I was in a company and did lots of musical theater back in the day, and I actually had like a choice, like at a certain point, of whether I was going to go into musical theater and do the touring thing and all that, or go into film. And so I chose to go the film route and not to do the theater touring route.
Fair enough. Kyle, I've got a question for you. Is it true that fame was your influence for acting?
Okay. It wasn't.
Yeah, come on.
I won't say it's my influence, but I will say that it was definitely what attracted me to want to be able to do it. It's like I was watching Fame, which is a TV show, and it basically it's like about a high school for the performing arts. And so I was
like, we know Fame well, Kyle.
Oh, right on. For those who don't, if any doesn't, then why are you watching this show? Because everyone should know what Fame is.
Exactly.
So
we all want to live forever.
I saw Leroy doing spinning around and jumping over mannequins and singing and dancing, and I had to do it. I was like, this looks like fun. I got to do this.
It was all about Coco Amanza, really, weren't it?
Oh yes,
yeah. She was the main. She sung the song for Fame as well. But the series was very, very popular. Very, very popular.
Yeah, it was very popular here too.
Yeah, it was Cole, my friend as well, Justin Lee Collins. I don't know if you ever saw it, but he reunited the cast of Fame. It Bring Back Fame. Did you ever see that?
That's really cool. No, I haven't seen that, but that's awesome that they did that.
Yeah, if you go on YouTube, you put Justin Lee Collins. He actually done a show. He done Bring Back Star Wars, Bring Back Star Trek, and what he does, he reenacts. He done the A-Team as well. But if you go on there, you'll see Bring Back Fame, and it was fabulous. It was tells you all the life and what they've been doing, and he catches up with them and tries to get them to all get in a room at the end of the show, and it's a wonderful view.
That's super cool. Well, I must check this out.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to it later on.
Right.
It's really good.
Speaking of links, I'm loving this link from fame to horror films. It's amazing.
We've got a question here. We've got a question here in the comments, Carl, from Jamie Elliott. He put, "All right, guys. First here, lad. Question I'd like to ask Carl is, out of all the films, what was his most enjoyable filming experience on set?"
Great question.
I would have to say it was my very first film. And it's about a terrible time in our history here in America about the Civil War and this this prison camp in the Civil War called Andersonville, which was Andersonville, Georgia. And John Frankenheimer was the director of that. And basically, I had auditioned. Oh, this actually goes back to when I had to make a choice between going for theater and doing a tour or doing film, and film is what I wanted to do. And I had been cast in a touring show, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. And so I had the lead booked in that, and then I had the opportunity to audition for Andersonville, and I had already auditioned for it, and I got a call back. So I had the director of the tour saying, "Kylie, we're starting rehearsals on such and such day," and I was like, "Well, I have a call back for this film," and she's like, "Well, I need you to make a decision. You know, like you're either all in with this show, or we're gonna have to replace you, and you can go do your callback with the film." So before I had done the callback, I turned the tour down so that I could go do the callback. So basically, I could have lost everything, you know. And but it fortunately it worked out, and I got the film. So that's Andersonville, and basically I spent 3 months on this horrific conditions. You know, it was actually raining for like 3 weeks of the shooting, and so it was like what it was like to be there, and also work with like an amazing director in John Frankenheimer. So that was I would say that's the most memorable.
Oh, that's great. Carl, you also done a film in 1996 I looked up and was quite interesting. You played Matt, and Sharon Stone was in that film. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, you know, I mean,
Terry.
I think she was one of the actors in it. I think I remember that. But you know, but really, I mean, if it hadn't have been for Matt, which is the character that I played, that movie would not have happened. There would be no Last Dance without Matt.
Yeah, I mean,
got killed. You know, Matt was killed.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
so the person that played the killer, I mean, that was Sharon Stone. You know, but without Matt, there. Are we there?
Yep. Back.
I think there's a glitch in the matrix.
So basically, Sharon Stone stole a living out of your death, then, Cole. To be honest,
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, it ended up being, you know, about they were going to give her, you know, they were talking about giving her, you know, the Academy Award, you know, that she was running for that, you know, for doing that movie. So, I mean, if she had gotten it, it would have only been because I gave her that opportunity. So
I believe
definitely.
You're right. Yeah, well said, mate.
What was she like as an actress?
She was great. She was great. She was really nice person. She was great to work with. And you know, we did a stunt because she, like, you know, she hit me with a crowbar and I went flying to the window. And she's like, we did the rehearsals for that, and she was just super great to work with and caring, and yeah, it was great.
We got
a question here, Carl.
Oh, sorry, go on. No, I was just going to say.
No, go on, Terry. No, don't. Go on.
We've got a question here from Guna Claude. How you doing, mate? Hope you're good. One of our good friends, he is, Carl. So he's sort of part of our channel and all. He wants to know if you're a soccer fan.
You know, I actually have not kept up on soccer. I mean, I will I'm a fan of the imposter sport that we call football here, and I know that there's some offense to be taken from calling it football when soccer is actually football. But I can't go there, because I don't have a football to stand on in that particular argument. So, but yeah, so no, I watch a football fan.
So after today, Carl, can we actually call you an Arsenal supporter then? Do you mind? Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We're all Arsenal.
There we go. Cole, it's a gooner.
Yeah, new movie coming out, Arsenal Zombie.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we're all Arsenal season ticket holders, so we go to the games quite often. So
very cool.
So I've got a question as well here, right? So obviously you was that was your acting side, and then you worked with the likes of also Bruce Beresford and Mark Shelton. I know that, award-winning directors also. But then you crossed over to the other side, behind the camera too, and you worked on the set of Team America, which I love that film, by the way. I'd like to know a bit about that. And is it also true you was involved on the artistic side on Wipeout, the TV show?
Yeah. These are all true stories. Basically, I've done just about everything that you can think of on a film set, through my time of trying to survive in this crazy business. And I think that unless you kind of make it's either as an actor, like immediately, and you're just rolling in cash, it's like you have to do other things. So I chose to always put myself in a position to be on sets and learn as I was making money to survive. So I got I developed a lot of skills which came in handy. And so for Team America, me and like 4 other guys, we created this company called Designs, and we did a lot of like special effects and set building and all that kind of stuff for the movies and TV shows, thinking that we were gonna like eventually end up producing our own stuff. So at that point in time, we never ended up producing our own stuff, but we did a lot of work for other movies, and Team America was one of them. It was like the 3rd scale sets. So we built all the sets of Team America. So like Egypt and the New York alley and all that stuff. Yeah, it was all 3rd scale. So that was all about 20, 24 inches, 26 inches, like doorways and that kind of stuff. So so basically you gotta like, okay, what is like Paris look like, okay, so now you have to scale that down. And so there's lots of like using those little the 3-sided rulers, scale rulers and all that kind of stuff to basically make it. And don't get the math wrong, because you get the math wrong, then you're gonna fuck it all up, and then it's your fault, and then and then Paris is gonna look weird. So you can't have that
happen. Brilliant. Carl, another question. Your first producing venture, I believe, was Burden of Freedom. Tell us about that. How was that your first big shot at producing?
Well, it's funny. I haven't been asked about that in a long time. That was something that I was involved in at one point, and am no longer involved in it, and I don't know what's going on with it or what progress it is. But yeah, that's one of the things where you put in a lot of work on something, and then you don't have paperwork or quite done right, and then you don't have the rights to be able to be working on a project, and people that may or may not have been involved with the project like that could have been like, well, I'm gonna, that kind of thing can happen. So yeah, that's what happened with that, and that actually was one of the things that that led me into Preacher 6, which I don't know if we want to jump to that just yet, but it was one of the things where I'd put like 5 years of my life into something, and then it taken away, and I was like, well, that's never going to happen again. So then we kind of like decided that, well, shit, we know how to do all this stuff, so let's do it for ourselves. So that's how the rest of the story that we're probably going to talk about ended up happening.
Wow, so you put 5 years of your life into that as well.
5 years. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and here's the thing, man. I'll just make this commentary, because this happens a lot, and I've seen it happen on several different occasions. When real, see if you can see that, real money happens, or the illusion of real money happens, people lose their fucking mind. So it's like, and you either have the ability and the fortitude and your own mental strength to deal with, okay, well, this is going to be $1.2 million, and that's a possibility. So, and some people can deal with that information and go, okay, cool, this is what we're doing, this is how much things are going to cost, and we'll go on, and make this thing happen. And how cool is it that we're going to be able to have all this money to make this project? And some people are like, wow, we're going to have $1 million. I am the fucking man, and everyone else is going to listen to me because I'm about to have a big check, and all you fucking peons can go take a seat because I'm the guy now. So that's the flip side of the illusion of big money, and I've seen that happen several times with people.
Sounds like a night out with Johnny, that. Kyle. Johnny's like that all the time. Every time we go out, Johnny's like that all the time. I'm the big man. He's doing it all the time. Archie's got a question. Sorry, Terry. Have you ever regretted?
Before that, Lev, it's a follow-on. It's a follow-on from Jamie. Jamie's put.
Go on then.
He's put, must be a question for Carl. Must be very busy and have a lot of offers for different projects. How do you manage and decide which to go for and which to turn down? It must be overwhelming. That's a great question. Well done, Jamie.
Well, thank you for that question. I think that it's like in independent film, it's like you're kind of like, I'm pretty much in my own lane, with what we're doing. And so there are opportunities that come along, and that, like, we're doing like Zombie with a Shotgun, that we're going to do, like, the second Zombie with a Shotgun 2. That's not going to be the title, but so we're going along with that series, as well. Yeah. I think that, like, a lot of people are kind of like in independent film, like independent horror. It's like they go with who they know, so it's like, and then they'll hire people that are that fit a certain demographics, that, like, a distribution company will say, well, if you can get this actor, then we'll distribute your film, because I gotta put my fingers, because this actor gets so many Q points in certain countries and whatnot. So you'll see this actor in a lot of movies, of a certain genre, and I don't know if that actually works, for distribution or not, but I know that, like, it's something that people tell themselves a lot, so that it must be true. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like people don't really know who I am yet. It's like Zombie with a Shotgun just came out. The Chair. It was like not many people have seen The Chair, although it's an awesome movie. But it's like it never caught fire. So I think that people are just now finding out about me, and I think that to the question, I think that will probably happen at some point when somebody goes, oh, have you heard of Kyle Hester? And they'll go, who? But when someone can ask that question, you go, oh, have you heard of Kyle Hester? Oh yeah, that guy from Zombie with a Shotgun. It's like, that's different, so it's like, so that's kind of what's happening now. So I mean, I would expect that those kinds of things would start happening in the future, but I've just been kind of like nose to the grindstone, just making these things happen, and they're just now coming out. So that's kind of where we are.
Okay, and Archie, to follow on with that question, Carl, we've put, add to that, have you ever regretted not taking a role in a movie?
Well, yeah, there was. I don't know if it's regret, but there's certain choices that you make along a career trajectory. And I think there was this one back when I was, in my 20s, and I just got to Hollywood, and I, had come from doing these big movies, and then I had the opportunity to be in something like, it's not this, but like Red Shoe Diaries or something like that, like where, it's kind of like, a lot of nudity. It's like that type of thing, and they wanted me for it. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that, like to go like right to that, from these other films. So I didn't do it. I turned it down. And it's like, and you never know, what those kinds of things will, what, like, would that have been a good thing? Like, would people be like, hey, let's look up Kyle Hester now and check him out because, he did this other, thing. So he's like, having sex with this other lady, on this show. So let's go check that out. And you never know if that's what people look for, as far as like a celebrity, so but yeah, so I wouldn't know like what the outcome would be, by making those choices, but that's one of them that I made. So I don't know.
Well, we know what the outcome would have been on a cold set, don't we?
Another great question here from Stan the Man. Good afternoon from Vancouver. I hope you're good, Stan. He's put, what advice would Cole give an old, handsome man who is breaking into background acting? Can it be a route into getting principal work?
Yes, it can be, and definitely people like have broken in just exactly like that, because it's like, if you've basically become like familiar and you show up and you're on time and you're a pro and you don't fuck off, during whatever, and hanging out at the food table, and you're ready. If you present yourself as a professional, then it will give you more opportunities, to and you can get, people get bumped up on lines and whatnot. People have like, gotten roles in shows starting out as an extra on the show just by being there, and like, oh, I think we can fit this guy in or fit this girl in, and especially, if you present yourself well, then so I definitely think that's a way to do it. And there's, I support that.
Brilliant.
Well, I think Stan was looking for a way in there, Carl. So he's probably going to. Yeah. Stan, like, you got to go through boardroom bands. You've got to go through boardroom bands. All agent fees go for us, mate. But I guess the question for me, to sort of veer it towards this whole horror genre thing, is why horror? Why did you decide to go that particular route? Right. And I've noticed that you have got a particular sort of area that you seem to go on, alternative comics, for example. You do like to look at their type of storylines, for example.
Well, I'm going to shatter that myth. I think that certain things happen and you don't know why they happen. It's like, with like the way the chair happened. I was, this was back when Facebook was more popular. And so a friend of mine was on Facebook, and his Ezra Buzzington. So if you know who Ezra is, you can look him up, or if you've seen the commercial with the Snicker bar commercial, the headless horseman, the horseless headsman, like where he's like the big head, so that's Ezra. Anyway, so I saw on his Facebook page that he was going to be doing his part in the chair. And I was like, that looks fucking awesome. Like, how can I get an audition? And so Ezra, like he said, yeah, we'll just get in touch with Peter Simeti and tell him that I said to call him, or, to contact him. So basically, because I had like a good word from one of the actors in the film to the creator of the movie, there was like an in there. So then I took that and just ran with it. So I contacted Peter and I sent him my reel and stuff like that. And he said, yeah. There's a guard. Yeah, you can be one of the guards. And here's interesting, because I know you saw the chair. When I got that part, my role, Bowen, had that many lines.
Yeah.
There were no lines written for the part. So it was going to be, you can just ad lib stuff, that kind of thing. And then as we were going along and as Peter got to know me and whatnot, so they basically wrote that part in for me. So all the dialogue that's in there, like they wrote it after they got to know who I was and that I could actually act and that I wasn't just some asshole who wanted to, to be in Ezra's movie, So yeah, so that's I'll continue the story. So all right, so with that movie, I started out as an actor, and so well, how'd you end up producing the movie, Kyle? Well, I'll tell you. So how that ended up happening was Peter would ask me questions. He was like, so do you know like sound people and what are we gonna do about this and about that, and I knew the answers to these questions that he was asking, and then he was interviewing producers here in LA, and he lives on the East Coast of America, and I live on the other side of the world, so he doesn't know anybody out here. But I was out here, so in LA. And so he was like dealing with all these like A-type personalities, the kind of people that I was talking about before. This is all about me because I got the big fucking money, like those kinds of people. So he was talking to them,
Johnny.
He was like, fuck these people, man. This is like because they wanted to recast the film. It's like, well, I know you got Roddy Piper and, I know you got Zach Galligan and stuff like that. Yeah, but they're all has-beens. So let's like recast the film. And Peter was like, fuck you. Like, I've been working on this for like a long time. And this is who I wanted in my movie, my creation. So he basically said, well, you've been answering all my questions. Do you want to produce it? And and I had never produced anything, I just know lots of things. So I said, well, fuck yeah, let's do this. So that's how I ended up producing it, and I can tell you more stories on that, but or we can go in any direction you want.
Man, that's really interesting.
Very similar story to how I got on this podcast, isn't it? Really, guys.
Yeah,
right up.
But I'm sure a lot of people watching, Carl, as well, fans of wrestling and stuff. So we'll touch on that briefly because that was his last appearance, as well, as we all know, sadly. Rowdy Piper, famous wrestler, and he was on that film. Yeah, and he was a legend. What was he like? What was your memories of Mr. Piper? What was he like to work with?
Roddy Piper, I could tell you, was the nicest guy that you'd ever want to meet. It's like, sometimes they say like you'd never want to meet your heroes. Well, he was one of those people where you wanted to meet that guy.
Wow.
Because he was like when you first meet him, he talks to you like, I've known you my whole life and how you doing, and it was just like the warm, genuine, human being, and I have nothing but good things to say about him. He was truly a wonderful person.
Oh, that's lovely. And what was it like as well, working with Zach Galligan from Gremlins? Because obviously he played the main character.
Yeah, I love that guy. He's a trip. He's super smart. And he was I don't know if you knew this, that he was a professor at NYU for a little while. Yeah. And so he's like, just awesome. Always like quick with a joke and keeping everybody laughing. And he could memorize his lines like, in a snap. And he knew everybody's lines. So he's like, if somebody fucks up, he's like, no.
So he's fucking big time.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and that's not my strong point. So I'm sure he corrected me a couple of times.
Yeah, well, because I'll be honest, I watched The Chair, and as I say, I'm not kissing ass too much here, but I actually enjoyed it. As I said to you before we came on, it's a fucking, mind you, I'm very honest, but it's a fucking dark film. I mean, be prepared. It's and there's some scenes in it that are quite, if you're a little bit woo, but especially Roddy Piper's truncheon that went a few places. That went a few places in that film, but that was a great film. was it difficult filming certain scenes in that for you personally, or not really? Did you just go with the flow, or because it was a strong watch, but it was a really good film?
Thank you. Yeah, it's like when difficult scenes like that. I'll just say there's a prison scene that you might imagine would happen in prison, that's not good, and so that it's kind of one of those things where you have to, as an actor, you have to get out of the way of the character, because it's not about me. It's not about like, what do I think about what's happening here. It's like this is what's fucking happening, and this is what the character's doing. So it's like you gotta like be able to kind of dissociate, and it's kind of, but that's acting. Yeah, acting is dissociation from yourself and letting the character do what the character's doing. So yeah, of course, in a professional, not method type way, because I fucking hate method. But yeah, so it's like but yeah, it was difficult. Yes, yeah, it is difficult, and it's like, it's like, and as a producer, I'm telling everybody, put your fucking phones away, put your cell phones away. There's no pictures, like all that kind of stuff. So I go from that voice to like, okay, action, so it's like yeah, it was hard, but I think that the results were worth it, and I'll tell you something about that scene.
Yeah, please do.
About Roddy Piper. He's like, after we had done a take of it, he like, me and Zach Galligan and Noah Hathaway, we're like behind the set, and he looks at us and he's like, people are going to talk about this for a long time. And, it was just like one of those moments. It was like, that light, like, we all just, it broke the tension. Yeah. And everybody laughed, and it's like, okay, let's go do this. So yeah, that was awesome.
Dude, I've got to be honest. When I said to my missus when she walked in after work, I said, Zoe, I've seen this scene. Man, this puts Hostel to bed. I was like, this is a strong film. But as I say, credit to you though, Carl, because it was really good, and even your little scenes that you were in, it was brilliant. And I don't want to spoil the film for people who haven't watched it, but there was a few strong death scenes in there, and I thought, we won't talk about it obviously, but I thought the ending of the film was very clever. I don't know if we can actually talk about it in a way not to spoil it, but I thought
I'll just say clever. This. There's lots of twists in the film, and so you got to watch it all the way through to kind of figure out what's going on and what means what, and I think that's part of the ride of that film. So if you haven't seen The Chair and you like dark stuff that's kind of twisted, then I think it's a must.
Yeah, absolutely.
Carl, a question for myself: is there a role that you wouldn't do or wouldn't take?
Rape a woman on screen. Just because I think it is done too much. I think it's a horrible part of humanity that needs to be reflected, continually, through film, television, and I think it's although in storylines it's like that happens and can happen and is part of stories and is part of life and like all of that, but I don't think that, like, if you haven't, as a writer or as a showrunner or a film producer, it's like, if you have another way to tell the story, fucking tell it a different way. So that's what I think.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
I'll totally agree with that as
well. I've got a question. I've got a few of my children. They're older now. Some of them want to get into media and film. What would you give as an advice to any sort of budding young film director, someone who wants to get into it, a young guy, a young girl, or a young woman? What would you advise them to do? What's the best things for them to do to go that route?
Well, I would say keep keep learning as much as you can. Like when you have the opportunity to get on sets, do it, as a PA, as whatever, as an assistant, get on sets, and also learn a skill, because you will need to make a living, as you're trying to, do the art, so, and a lot of people don't learn a skill. Like I'm a carpenter, so I could basically go, pick up a nail and pick up a nail. I'll throw nails at things and see how that works. No,
pick up a nail.
Yeah, I go pick up a nail. I don't know what to do with this, but I'm gonna make money with this nail.
I'm a carpenter. Fuck the wood. Just pick up a nail.
I'll tell you what.
Just pick up some wood and a nail and go see what happens. But no, I would say definitely, learn a skill so that you can, and it's possibly flexible, so that you can make a living and keep a roof over your head while you're pursuing your craft and your art. Because I mean, if you think about it, it's like, most like visual artists, are famous when they're dead, which is really sad, but it's like, that's what happens. So like to make a living in film, you can go for the things that are like skill positions, sound, camera, those things you'll be able to get jobs, and like work on many films. As an actor, there's only so many roles that I can play, so it's like, it's not like I can go to any movie and then go like, oh yeah, I'm gonna work in all these movies because I'm an actor, and it just doesn't work like that, so it's like the chances of getting consistent work as an actor is much less than getting consistent work as a grip, or a sound technician, or special effects, because you can work on all the movies. So it's just statistics. So your odds are higher, so, but if it's acting, then definitely get another skill to survive, as you are looking for those like rare roles that you will get.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Another question here from Nick. He put, Carl, would you do a rom-com?
Hell yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, I'm a funny mother. So yeah, definitely.
And Diesel, another good friend of ours, I hope you're good, Diesel, has put, who would you say was the most talented actress you have ever worked with?
Oh, wow. Good question.
Great question.
You know what? Talent is okay. Talent is subjective, but I think like the actor that made the most impression on me when I was on set was Frederick Forrest, and he was in Andersonville, and so he was probably in his 60s, late 50s when I did the movie, and I was like young, early 20s. So, and he just like had such a command of the part and the role, and he could talk like this, and he was like, on fire with his role, and he just like, and he could do it every time cut, and he'd like joke and whatnot, and he's like, back on, all right, and so it was like the amount of intensity that I saw from him was really, really cool. And John Frankenheimer used a lot of, I don't know if you're familiar with like other movies that he's done, but he uses a lot of the same actors that you'll kind of see through us, like in Ronin. You'll see like actors that you saw in Andersonville or in Ronin, and all those other films that he did.
Yeah, that's what Quentin Tarantino does as well, doesn't he? Quentin Tarantino uses a lot of the same actors as well. Yeah,
and there's a reason for that. It's because as a director, you have to trust the people, because you have so much. I mean, especially big money movies like that, because you have so much writing on everything that you got to know that those actors are going to show up and they're going to fucking kick ass for you every time, and it's like, and if you don't have that, then your movie is as good as your weakest link, So it's like, so the things that like people will point out, oh yeah, this sucked, and the this sucked is the thing that you want to avoid, you know, as a producer, you know, because if you have this sucked about your film, then you miss something, you know. And so I think that with John, he always wanted to go. I saw him. He talked at Directors Guild here, and someone asked him like, "What's the most important thing about making a movie?" And he said 75% of it is casting. And so, and then he said the second most important thing is sound, which I found was totally interesting. He's like, if they can't hear it, they're not going to believe it. You know, that was like, wow, that was a trip. So anyway, so about John Frankenheimer. So after I had spent all this time on the set of Andersonville, which, and this another story, I started that with one line. I had like my character Sergeant of the Artillery, and I had like one line, so I was going to show up on this one day and then do this line, you know, and that was it. And so I had picked up the sides earlier. Do you want to hear the story?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's what you're here for, Kyle.
Right on.
Keep talking.
Am I being interviewed? What are we doing here? I don't really know. I'm just talking.
No, this is great. Carry on.
So I picked up the sides that morning, and so I'm like reading over like the scenes of the day. And for those that don't know, sides are like this little pamphlet of all of the lines for the day. It's like a 3x5 thing, so you can kind of flip through it. So I was like reading the sides, and I was familiar with the lines. And so John pulls everybody over to do the read through of what we're going to do for the day. And this other kid didn't know his lines, and I wasn't in that particular part of the scene, and this kid was fucking up, you know, and John Frankenheimer like looks around and he goes, "God damn it! Does anybody know these goddamn lines?" Like first time I ever met the guy, you know, and I go like this, I know the lines, you know, and he's like, "Come over here, let's read them," you know. So then I read the part, and he's like, "All right, you two, you're gonna split this scene up." So then I basically took half of this kid's lines from this one part, and this was not my part, so that was not what I was planning to do for that, and so I ended up taking half of this kid's part, and then at the end of the day, John comes up to me and he's like, "I'm going to use you a lot in this film. I don't know how, but I'm going to use you a lot in this film." And I was like, "Okay, that's fucking." I mean, I didn't say that. Okay, thank you, Mr. Frankenheimer. That's great. You know, I look forward to your call, or however that works. I don't remember what I said, but I mean that was like the gist, you know. And so I ended up like from being ready. Because when do you have a fucking chance like that? You don't. So always be prepared, you know? So it's like, so I did that and I was ready, and I spent 3 months on that set. I played 3 different roles, all speaking. And so that's how I have these stories instead of like the one line. So getting back to the guy who asked about being an extra, fuck yes. Make your fucking mark.
Carl,
actually, he's got another quick question, Carl.
Yeah.
And that was, he said, would you advise a background actor to join the union? Are there any benefits being in the union?
I assume you're talking about SAG or SAG, the Screen Actors Guild union. Yeah, you know what? I think it's different now. But if you can get the work, you know, and do it. Because it's like if you are working on SAG shows and you do get that line, then you're going to get residuals, you know, for that, where if you were not, then you would not. So it just depends upon what do you want to do in this life, you know? So why not? Yeah. If you work enough.
Yeah.
Cole, I've got a question for you, Cole. It might be a hard one. Don't know if you could answer it, but you can only have 3 actors. Who are your top 3 actors of
Oh,
all
I thought
time?
you was going to say snog, marry, and avoid.
Oh no! We'll do that. We'll wait till the watershed. But no, if there was 3 actors or actresses, you can only pick 3. Who's the top ones for you? Your main inspiration?
Well, okay. Well, the first one is you're very welcome. The first one is definitely Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
So
That's
and he was
that's my man.
Yeah,
Legend.
yeah, and I mean, I don't even know. There aren't many people that can even follow that name. So I think that if, as an actor, it's like if you can have people remember your performances and emulate the way that you talk, then you have done something special. It's like when Jack goes, "Wendy, put down the bat, Wendy." It's like
That's pretty good, man.
That's really good.
It's like
you're in the remake.
It's like he's got something in his tone and the way that he delivers lines that it's like an earworm. It gets in there and you remember it, and it's like you remember the mannerisms and what he did and how he moved, and like all that kind of, no shit. And like all of that is I think that what makes film memorable. So it's like, and he does it, or did it, in all of his movies. So, and even like the simple things, that he would do, it's like it's memorable. It's like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Wow.
Amazing film.
I mean, so yeah,
amazing.
So it's so good. And I mean, he had moments in there of like insane intensity, that like, you're going to remember an insane, intense part of a film, but it's like, it's the quiet bits, that if an actor can draw your attention, even though we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
I think that's what really makes film. It's like when you can hold attention when there's silence. It's like when the camera is just kind of creeping in, and you got somebody like, at a bar and he's just like twirling the glass. It's like, what does that mean? Why is he twirling the glass? That looks really cool. He's thinking something, something's going on, and you don't even know what it is, but it's just like, it's the person doing the thing that makes things memorable. So having said that, if you are an actor and you're listening, go to school, get in class, be proficient, learn shit. Don't message me and say, "Hey, I want to be in your movie," because that's not going to work. So get the skills that you need and have a reel, so that when you do contact somebody like me, or bigger than me, or not me at all and someone else, then you'll have something to show them. So that would be my advice, as far as like just like DMing somebody looking for a role. If you're going to do that, I'm not saying don't do that, but if you're going to do that, have something to show, and not just like, "Hey, I want to be an actor." Well, lots of people want to be an actor, so what are you doing to make that happen?
See, stand a man, stop typing, stand a man, stop DMing. You can't do it right now. It's not going to work.
Cole, what I liked about Jack Nicholson, for me personally, he's my favourite actor as well. But obviously, you know a little bit better than me about it. But the fact is, with his acting, there's a humour there as well.
Yeah.
And if you look at him in roles like Witches of Eastwick, he was outstanding. Yeah. But I mean, my favourite film of his is either The Shining or have you seen As Good as It Gets?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that is absolutely fantastic. But he's got a humour about him, hasn't he? You just, when you see him, you want to smile as well.
Do you know what? For me, Johnny, just quickly, sorry, Cole. For me, with Jack Nicholson,
no worries.
It's just how quick he can change into different characters straight away. Do you know what I mean? Like he could be really mentally insane 1 minute, and then just click straight away into, like you're saying, into humour, as if like nothing has happened. he's amazing actor, I think. Anyway.
Right, and that's exactly what I was saying earlier about like being able to have a dissociation, from the character, and why I have a disdain for method actors, because it's like you have to. There's a separation between you, the actor, and you, the character. So it's like when the camera's on, you're that character. So like what's going on and what's going on because you've done your homework. So you don't have to walk around being the character all day, because go fuck yourself. So that's what I feel about that. And it's like, so Jack doesn't do that and has that ability. So I think it's important to have the ability to to be able to snap in and out and to do everything, because guess what? You're an actor. It's acting. So that's what I got.
Have you had the privilege to meet him, Carl?
I happened to stumble upon him I didn't meet him, but when he was getting his star on Hollywood Boulevard, I was just like going to the store and like, holy shit, there's fucking Jack Nicholson, getting a star on the Boulevard, and he was like, doing his talk at the podium. So that was cool.
Who's your who's the next two for you then? You got two more to go. Who goes in the three?
Nope.
It's tough. It's tough.
It's tough. I mean, it's kind of like I mean, there's a lot of good actors, but I think that like I don't think anybody really matches Jack Nicholson. It's like
do you rate De Niro?
Yeah. I love De Niro. Yeah, no, he's great. He's like he's done a lot of great stuff. And but De Niro does De Niro, so he's got the affectations that like you know what you're going to get with De Niro, and I think that's good, and that's what will make a star. Is like people go to see that. It's like when I go to a movie and I want to see Al Pacino do Al Pacino, I take a flamethrower in his face. It's like it's like you're gonna get that kind of stuff from Al Pacino.
Yeah.
And it's like, and with De Niro, it's like you're gonna get De Niro because it's like, and that's what you want to see from De Niro is the fucking smirks and stuff, and you're gonna get that.
You're a good impressionist and all, Carl.
What's that?
You're a good impressionist and all.
Oh, thanks. You know what's funny? I don't practice these things, but it's like those are the things that you go to see those actors for, and I love it, and I love their performances, and I like to emulate them, and and then that kind of stuff. But it's like the only thing that Nicholson does that's Nicholson is the eyebrows, and he's kind of famous for the eyebrows. But it's like Nicholson has the nuances that really make special performances. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a hater. I mean, I love all kinds of performances, and I think there's room for it all. So I'm not saying that there's any one way to do it, because there's not. I mean, and there's people that are method right now going, Kyle, go fuck yourself, man. You don't know about method. If you hate it, you can't talk about it. You know what I mean?
I've got to be honest, Cole. You've had a lot of comments coming through. I don't know if Terry's kept them, but there's some really nice comments coming through. You're a wonderful guest, they're saying, and they're really enjoying. And you've over here. And
I think this one sums you up, to be honest, Cole. And it's from Jamie. He says, "Love your attitude, Cole. You would fit in well here in England." You're
right on. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
I think
you got it.
By the sounds of the way you speak and the way you hold yourself, your humour would fit in fantastic over here.
Very cool. Well, I have some ancestors that did from the London area, so I guess it's genetic.
We're running slowly out of time. Just before we get to the fun side as well of naming our top 5 horror films, could I ask you a little bit about what it was like with your father actually being a linebacker for New Orleans for 3 years. Is that correct? He used to play. He was a professional American football player. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, he was a linebacker for the Saints. And that was back in the 70s. So that was when I was a tyke. But yeah, he was. I don't recall very much of that because of how young I was. But I know that he made a big difference in New Orleans. With some of the foundations and stuff like that he set up and stuff like that. But yeah, people loved him.
And what was it like growing up in New Orleans, may I ask?
New Orleans is super unique. Everybody's nice. It's like I don't know, something about the river. It's like everyone's family. Come on in, who dat? Have a daiquiri. It's like everyone's just looking to have a good time. It's like looking for the weekend. And when's the next party? When's the next parade? Where's the next club? Like that's kind of like that's what New Orleans is like. So if you haven't been, you definitely it's one to experience on our little planet.
So you're you're now in LA. Is that right? In LA, you're saying? So you live in the Jim Morrison lifestyle, I take it, or not?
Well, I don't do as much acid as Jim did, but
not as much.
I come through,
well, there's a lot of leeway, in that answer. So I'll just leave that there. But no, yeah, no.
You're not tripping live, are you, Kyle?
What's that?
You're not tripping live on our show now, are you?
No. I think I was gonna. Did I take it before or after? Sometimes I don't remember when I dropped, but I kid. I haven't done acid since college. So.
Can I just before we go to the movies as well? Talking of LA, are you into your music, Carl? And if so, what sort of music do you like? Have you got anything that you listen to, or is music not really your thing? Or
who I'm listening to right now is Gary Clark Jr.
Huh?
I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's just kind of fun. He's kind of funky. He reminds me of like a little bit of Prince and a little bit of Hendrix, and it's a cool vibe. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's funny because I was like back in the day. It's like I've always listened to like kind of soul music. I was always into like the Minneapolis sound, and big fan of Prince, and I listened to The Time and Sheila E. and like all of that, and it's kind of like you're waiting for the replacements for like brilliant musicians. So I mean, I'm always looking for like when it's like the next brilliant actor. It's like when's the next Prince, and it's like these things only come along in so many times in a lifetime if you're lucky. It's like when's the next Led Zeppelin? So it's like I think that each generation has like these bands that come along, and we wait for the next one. It's like where's the Hendrix of today?
Yeah.
I've got a question. I've got a question. And wait, before I ask the question, there's Terry up there giving it all that shaking with regards to the Prince, and we were on our music podcast the other day, and he was telling us he did. Yeah, you did. You said you didn't get Prince. You did say that, right?
No, I mean, I weren't shaking my head at the Prince,
but
shaking my head at what he was saying.
But a quick one. British TV shows or films. Is there anything that you've actually seen that that you really like from our side of the pond? So anything that you've watched and you thought, oh, that's great. Anything you've been looking at or seen in the past?
Yeah, my wife is her family's from Scotland. So she's Scottish, as it were, because that's what happens when your family's from Scotland, Kyle.
Bizarre.
Yeah. So she watches. I don't know the name of it right now, but she watches a show. It's like these two old Scottish dudes, and they just like go at it. Yeah, asshole. And they're just like
still game.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Still game for bollocks.
Yeah.
It's the bollocks.
So I watch that with her sometimes, and it's just so fucking funny. So yeah, I definitely I definitely like some of the across the pond shows.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Okay.
Have you ever seen Only Fools and Horses?
I've not seen that.
Oh, it's all Blackadder or 40 Towers.
No.
No, they're big shows over here, but like they were like 80s and stuff like that. But they're worth a watch if you like a bit of the British humour. Some of it, give it a go. Blackadder, especially Blackadder, it's ahead of its time. Rowan Atkinson stars in it. It's really good. It's really good. It's worth a watch.
Cool.
It's worth a watch.
Very cool.
A question here, which come up. Well, not so much of a question, but I'll be interested to know, Cole, is Scientology. Someone said stay away from it. So what's your thoughts on that? Being obviously in LA and all. I mean, the LA is the actual town, I think itself, because I went there a couple of years ago. I think it's bought up by Scientology, about 60%.
Yeah, well, I live like 3 blocks from the big Scientology building.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I see like the people in the classes, getting off of the bus and walking to the big blue building, and they don't really talk to me. So I don't know why. Am I off-putting? Is the look off-putting? I don't know. But they don't really say much to me. So I don't really know a lot about the religion. Just kind of like what I've seen on the TV, about the issues that they're having within it and control stuff, and so that I don't like what I've heard about it. Here's the thing. I think that if something gives you more than you're giving, then that's something that's worth pursuing. So I think that something that is always wanting to take, from you, then and you're on the dole to a particular thing, then I don't think that is positive. So I don't know much about the internal workings, but just that alone would make me steer. Yeah, I'm slightly dyslexic. Steer clear of it. So I think that's without offending people that are Scientologists. I think that's the best way that I can answer that question.
Can I take it a step further, guys, very quickly, because I'm a big conspiracy theorist, Carl. Right.
All right.
So there's always these stories. Can you not put your camera at your groin area? You need a zoom lens. You need a zoom lens, mate.
No, I feed it dinosaur legs. You know that, don't you?
Oh, okay. So obviously, I've heard along the way during my sort of readings that I do that there's a dark underbelly in Hollywood. So in the background, in the shadows. Have you experienced it? Is there such a thing?
Well, look, I think that whenever there's a lot of money in any particular thing, I think you're going to have people that are in charge of that money. So I think that may be kind of along the lines of what you might be talking about. So, and that kind of goes along to what I was saying earlier about people being fucking completely nuts when they have a lot of money. So, hey, but if
they've cut him off
on the show anytime, but
they're messing with him now.
Is the money and the people that can pull strings. I was auditioning for this. A friend of mine was the first AD on this movie called High Noon at Mega Mountain. It's through one of the Three Ninjas movies back in the day. So there's a High Noon at Mega Mountain. It was with Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was the star of that particular Three Ninjas movie, and I had auditioned for the character of Zed, which was one of the bad guys, one of the bumbling idiot bad guys, of the movie. So I, and I don't know anyone. This was a big studio picture, and I don't know anybody. I don't have an in, so I don't have any pals or or anything like that I know that I'm going to get this part. So basically, so anything that I did when I came into Hollywood was just based upon what I could do as an actor, you know, and that's fucking difficult to do, people. Like wondering, hey, can I just come to LA and be an actor? Fuck no, you can't. So, so like I go there and I, you know, and I'm like I audition and I second call back, third call back, fourth call back, and you know, with the producers and directors and you know everybody's in the room, you know, and I'm with the other people that ended up playing the bad guys, and so it was great, and I played this character Zed, and he's like this surfer dude, and you know he's funny and fucking yeah, dude. I don't have to be a surfer all the time. So actors, if you're watching. So anyway, so I had gotten, you know, basically through all of these callbacks.
Yeah.
Like he calls me up and he's like, Kyle, like you got the part, you know, pack your bags, you're going to Colorado, you know? And so I'm like, fuck yeah. And I'm like, this is my first big movie that I would have booked here in Hollywood. And so I'm literally on my coffee table, standing on my coffee table, singing some Soundgarden song, you know, like song at the top of my lungs because I had just made it, and this is going to be my shot in Hollywood, you know, from a big movie, you know. So basically, from the when the flight schedule is and send me scripts and contracts and all that kind of stuff. And I was like waiting for like 3 or 4 days and hadn't heard anything. And then I called my contact who had gotten me the audition. I was like, what's going on? I haven't heard anything. You know, I was supposed to be on a plane like, you know, tomorrow or something. And he's like, Kyle, I don't know how to tell you this. They're in about you. So, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what happened? You know? And so what happened was one of the execs had a friend who he had promised a role to. So this, and the only part that they were right for basically booked. So, and the executive producer were yelling in TriStar about me and about what the right thing to do is, because it's like, you have this kid, I was like in my 20s, you know, that booked this part. He's great. You know, everybody likes him. Everybody wants this guy for the part. And one of the execs said, no, I promised my friend a part, you know, so I didn't get it. And that's why I didn't get it. So that kind of thing happens. And that kind of thing happens a lot. So it's like, as far as like the I don't know if it's the dark side of Hollywood. I think it's like, that's like a reality, you know, of what can happen by people in big positions that can go, no, fuck you. You're not getting a part. I promise, you know, someone who's never acted in their life, but they can probably say 3 lines, you know, and they look like that. So let's give them the part, you know? Yeah. So that's the kind of thing that can happen and does and did, you know, to me. So yeah, it's all like, you know.
Just a quick couple of questions before we go on to the top 5. Then the Saint said, Cole, who is your favourite director of modern time?
Ooh, good question.
That's a good question. I think the most memorable big dollar is got to be Spielberg. I think that he's the one. I mean, it was John Frankenheimer until he died, but I think that Spielberg has been like the big. Let's see. No, I love Tarantino. As a matter of fact, my wife wrote Preacher 6, which is in post production now, and when some of the things that I would talk to her about is like, you know, how Tarantino in his writing would write about things that you wouldn't have. It's like your actors will be in a scene and they're talking about stuff that's not in the scene. It's like they're going on the way to kill somebody, but they're talking about hamburgers.
Yeah.
You know, or like, you know, talking about Silver Surfer or whatever. It's like, you know, like if we all were like going to go, you know, grab a beer to the pub, we wouldn't be talking about, well, what kind of beer are you going to have? I don't know. What kind of beer are you going to have? Probably going to talk about like whatever the fuck you're talking about on the way to the pub, you know? So I think that that's the kind of thing that Tarantino does throughout his films that I think that, and so to Tracy might put a lot of that kind of stuff in Preacher 6.
Going back to that, Cole, as well, just before we go to the top 5, tell us about Father Josh. Tell us about what's going on with Preacher 6. What's it about, or what you can tell us. Post-production at the moment. Where are we going with this?
Yeah, Preacher 6, basically I play a role called Father Josh, and he is a small town preacher that basically comes to the big city and ends up fighting demons in a literal sense. So it's kind of like he's I call him like a reluctant superhero. Mm-hmm. So that's, I think that his kind of through line, it's like, you know, oh wow, what is this situation I find myself in, and then how do I overcome it? You know, it's like your basic superhero through line that you find in all superheroes is like, you know, the how they're in the situation, what they have to overcome, how they're going to make that happen. So basically, Father Josh is exactly that, and like there's this like an amazing cast of characters that are kind of like the Father Josh's Justice League, if you will, and so Zach Galligan is in it.
Oh, he's in it, is he? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Zach Galligan's in it, and Naomi Grossman from American Horror Story. She played Pepper in American Horror Story. Mm-hmm. So she's in it. She plays the Blue Nun, and Peter Murnick, you know, from Jag and Justified. So he's in it. So basically, these are all actors that I had met over the years, and it was like, you know, if I ever had the opportunity to make a casting choice, it's like these are the people, taking a page out of like Frankenheimer's book of like, you know, who are awesome actors, and that's who you want on the screen.
Wow, that's brilliant. That's actually really cool. So you're actually picking who you want and you're fucking getting them on board.
Fuck yeah, man. That's how the casting happened. It's that's like, cool, you know,
that is cool.
You know,
it's cool, man.
Thanks. Yeah, I had an opportunity to cast some people before, and they'd like things fell through and whatnot, and they were always like, well, you know, whatever, Carl. Whenever it actually happens, count me in. So and that's what happened.
Well, I mean, all of us wish you the best of luck with that, and I'll be watching it when it comes out, Cole. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Thank you.
Question: what was the one of the films that you would have loved to have been the main character in?
I didn't hear anything.
Can you hear me, Carl? Sorry. Sorry. The question I asked was, what film would you have loved to have been the main character in?
Nope. One more time.
What was the? Can you hear me, Carl?
Yes.
Yeah, he's basically saying if what
I can't hear you, Terry.
Here, Terry. Bye.
We've muted Terry. We just got bored with Terry. So go on, Johnny. You carry on, mate. Don't worry about Terry.
I can hear you all now.
What character would you mainly like to play on screen? So if there was an iconic character on screen.
No. What movie would you have liked to have been the main character in? What movie?
Main character of the film.
Good you know question, what? Johnny. I think I would. I'd love to play Batman if that ever happened. Yeah, that would be a badass role, because you know I think the world needs Batman right now. You know, for real, we need some fucking bat suits out there making shit happen.
I agree, and he's a fucking maverick as well. You want a maverick that's a goodie out there. Do you know
what? I don't agree with you boys on that anymore. Since I've seen the Joker, I'm more on the Joker side, because I think Batman represents the corporate side and Joker represents us as the people being downtrodden. So it's a tough one for me now.
I'll go Batman every day, man. I'd like just that. Imagine that light coming out to you, calling you, saying, "Look, we need you," and you're fucking there.
See,
the corporate world needs you.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Cole gets it. Cole gets that fucking back signal, and then it's like, "Yeah, you want me? I'm on my way. I'm coming. I'm badass.
Nice.
But last question from me, if that's all right as well, Cole.
Yeah.
I did mention it was earlier. I should have mentioned it. Do you remember, or what was it like working with Randy Quaid?
Oh, he was great.
Randy Quaid. I've got a good one about him.
He was this guy. That was a long time ago, but he was like super cool, nice guy. You know, just like it's like uncle. You know, hey, let's go have a beer. You know, like that kind of thing. Just super cool guy.
He was
Johnny, Randy Quaid. Do you know about Randy Quaid, Johnny? I've got an interesting one for you about Randy Quaid. Told you I was a conspiracy theorist.
Cool.
So Randy Quaid was involved in something called star whacking. He believes there's a secret sort of society of mafia type that go around star whacking.
I thought it was a porno film, man.
No, whacking, not whacking. Anyway, so basically, what he was suggesting was happening to him because he lived in where is it? Michael Jackson lived. It was Santa Monica, wherever it was. Anyway, basically, when you get to a certain point as an actor, you've reached your peak and you're on your way down, right? So then you still have royalties, which is where your money comes in, and you got your own properties, etc. But once you've reached a certain peak and you're not worth as much anymore, he's suggesting there's like an undercurrent sort of mafia that go around whacking these stars so that they can obtain their royalties. And also, you know, there's a heightened nostalgia that comes with it that makes them more money, that they're worth more dead than alive. And that's what was happening to him. And he's actually run away to Canada with his wife because he said he got hounded out.
Can I be honest?
That's the truth. That's a true story, by the way.
I'll be honest. I like Randy Quaid and that, but man, he's gone fucking nuts if that's the case.
Mate, just don't shoot the messenger.
No, I'm not shooting him. I mean, I don't know what Cole I don't know what he thinks on that, but for me, if true, then the guy's gone Tom Cruise. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I don't know, but it is.
I think that's pretty crazy. Yeah, I think that I think, man, you know what? It's difficult. Like in today's climate, especially here in America, people are fucking nuts. It's like you go on Twitter, and it's like the kinds of crazy shit that people are thinking. Like even now, it's like I open up Facebook and I start seeing conspiracy theories about the coronavirus. You know, about like who did it and the reason and like how it's like gonna do and who's gonna take down this and that and like this was all planned and it's like give me a fucking break, man.
Yeah,
you know, it's like,
dude, I'm with you on that, man.
Hold on a minute. But Kyle, you are doing film like Preacher 6. I mean, they're quite outlandish scripts themselves. So you know, why can't people make up their own scripts? They're quite out there. You can make films out of these things.
Here's the thing. People can definitely make up their own scripts. The difference is the things that I do are movies.
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Listen, I agree.
If Randy Quaid says it, I believe it.
Anyway, guys. Cole's been. It's wonderful having him for an hour and 20 minutes. We'll wrap this up now with our top 5 classic horror films of all time. If we start with you, Lev, if you give us your top 5, and then Cole can maybe, if he likes any of them, tell us what he thinks. What's your top 5?
Before we do that, everyone in the comments, let us know your top 5 and all.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to whittle it down to 5, guys. Like, you know, I've got a list of 15, 16 in front of me, and some I wouldn't have even considered as horror movies that I've had to consider as a horror movie because it scarred me the most. Like, in the sense of, would you have ever put Jaws in a horror genre, for example?
That's a good one.
No, there you go. But it can be classed as a horror film, right? and I hate deep water even now because of Jaws. So just as an example, there you go.
Well,
I mean,
today we'll say yeah. So we put your top 5.
well, no, I'm not gonna say I'm not putting Jaws in there. It was just an example. But
right.
if I was to go 5, and I tend to be more sort of thrilled and scared by things that are deemed potentially from a true story, right? So obviously you had Exorcist. I'd have to put in there because from the time it was shot, when I was a kid growing up, my family used to talk about Exorcist and having to leave the cinema, and I'm like, a film that leaving the cinema, but not from a, although it was scary watching it, it was more psychologically scary for me. The things that were going on in the room and how it was shot. And I've seen old footage of how it was shot and how it was put together, and what they did with sort of limited special effects that you have today in comparison. Mate, they captured it for me. So I'd have to go Exorcist in there. I'm not going to put them in a particular order from 1 to 5. I'm just giving you 5. Now, in the 80s, what's that?
When it actually came out, I don't know if you guys know, or Cole.
Go on.
There was actually priests outside the cinema saying, "Do not go in and watch this film" when it came out.
Yeah.
That's
really?
Actually, yeah, there was and it was banned instantly. So it was it was a big thing at the time.
Yeah.
But that's
what you want. You want like the horror film that's going to be banned by like the church, and then everyone's going to want to watch it. So
it's true.
Yeah,
it's true. It's like Frankie Goes to Hollywood when they done Relax. The fucker was banned off the radio straight away, but it became their biggest hit.
Yeah.
In the end, you know, it's true.
Right. Well, there you go. The one that really stuck in my head when I was a kid, and I went through a phase when pirate videos were really, really popular. My friends could get hold of VHS pirates, right? So before I'd go to school in the 80s, I was getting hold of these pirate videos and getting up a bit earlier to go to school and watch a horror film first. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, really messed my head up. Because I didn't know this, but it was loosely based on a guy called, I think it was Ed Gein, who they based Leatherhead from, and they actually went to the house, and when they arrested him in the 50s, and he had chairs made with the skin of human flesh and all sorts of weird stuff. But that scared the hell out of me when I was a kid, especially a scene where they're trying to drop a hammer on a victim's head, and it kept on falling out of the granddad's hand, and it was just weird. It did scare the shit out of me. So I'll have to go with the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I would say the original Evil Dead. For me, I loved it. It was very gory. Had some humor in it though. But there were scenes that I don't know if you get away with today. I don't know if they would do that, where the branch went into the woman's nether regions. That was dark. But the whole house in the middle of nowhere, you shouldn't go into these houses. Why do they do it? I mean, driving up to the house, right? You're driving up to the house in dark. You look at that house, I'd be gone. But I don't know. Anyway, that's another subject. I'll tell you one that stick in my head that I really, really love, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers. You got the 50s version, and I've seen both, and I think the whole concept is amazing, and it did get to me. So I'm gonna put that in there, and then I'd probably go with either The Shining or Amityville, but Amityville is because it's based on a true story again. But I'm gonna go with Shining because it's got Jack Nicholson in it, and it's just the acting in it was just ridiculous. Brolin was all right in Amityville, but he was no Jack Nicholson. So I would go with those probably. Omen nearly nipped in there because I like the whole thing about how Satan would actually work his way through government. So all three of them, the trilogy, and how it ends up, and that sort of thing. I do like. Those are probably my 5 I'd put in.
Cheers, Lev. That's a really good top 5. And yourself, Terry?
Right. I struggled with this because just me, myself, personally, Horror to me, I want to be scared. Like, I want to be scared shitless. You know what I mean?
Every week, so.
You know what I mean? Like some of the films that have been mentioned in the comments and that Lev said and that, you know what I mean? It's like you watch an horror film and like, you know, like he just said, Lev, you know, why are they picking up the phone again after they put it down and there's some sick person on the phone, or why are they going to the door? Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? To me, it's like it's make believe, and it's like it takes it away from horror for me. So for me, horror is I want to be shit scared, and I want to see the sick side of people's minds. I know that might sound funny, if you know what I mean. That to me is horror. Do you know what I mean?
So
like,
sick, you don't even call it horror; you call it horror. That's how sick you want it to be.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I want to be shocked. I want to be shocked and scared properly. So. I mean, obviously, one of the best ones that didn't do that, but it's really good, is obviously The Shining with Jack Nicholson is absolutely brilliant. But for me, I'll go down the route of like Saw, Hostel. It's not in my top 5, but something like The Human Centipede and things like that. You know,
that is a sick film.
That is disgusting.
I mean? Exactly, that's what I mean. But that to me is horror. You know what I mean? You watch it and you think, oh, God, no. You know what I mean? Why would that happen? Do you know what I mean? Why would someone think of that shit? Do you know what I mean? But that to me is horror.
Hey, Terry, you're one messed up motherfucker.
Do you know what I mean?
I am learning about you.
Kyle, you need Terry as a producer on the show, mate, on your next film. I put him on there.
Yeah, right?
He's a bit twisted, mate. Come to Britain and film in Britain and have him on there.
That's what I mean. That to me, I think will obviously get your film noticed if you do something like I was saying earlier on about films and that. Just do something different in a different way. Make it more thicker. Make it more that people think, how the fuck did you even think about that? I mean,
you just want sick, Terry. That's what you want.
I think horror as well. In fairness, I think horror has changed. It's moved dramatically from your old classics. You know, you either like your old classics as well, or you don't. Yeah. I think horror today, when you start looking at Saw and stuff, that's the sort of stuff you're on about. It's moved. There is a more gore factor, and there's less. The younger generation look at the classics back then, and they're not as shocked as we were. If that makes sense. Some of them will laugh at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it was banned for 23, 24 years. And I cried my eyes out when Leatherface come out with that hammer and the fucking door opened up. It's a different generation, a different world we live in now, really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was more, anyway. Obviously, you had Nightmare on Elm Street and all that and all as you was growing up, but that's what I mean.
Not sick enough for you, Terry. Not sick enough.
No, I want to be sicker. Sorry, Carl. Go on, mate.
Well, I was going to say, I think that like talking about like what makes an imprint. I mean, I remember when I was like a kid, I was watching Nosferatu with my grandmother.
Yeah.
And man, it was like the image of that fucking vampire, like just I can see it right now. You know, it was like it just scared the shit out of me because it's like, what is that? You know, is that real? You know, it's like, is that going to really be outside the window? You know, so you have those kinds of things. So I'm more like into the psychological, fear, stuff like, even like Hitchcock, the birds, like that kind of thing. It's like the things that you can't control, that you don't understand why you can't control them. So it's like, so with a person, so for me, like with a person with a hatchet, I can control that. I have my own hatchet. I could kill the person with the hatchet. With like something that's like Nosferatu, that's like, it's got some kind of qualities that are like magical that you can't kill it the way you would try to kill it. It's like, I can get you with a hatchet and that didn't work. And it's like, oh, fuck. Well, now what do you do? So it's like, so the things that you can't kill, it's like I like those kinds of things. And like we were talking earlier, Clockwork Orange. It's like that kind of like psychological horror. It's like that again. It's like you are being taking the control away from the person. You're going to listen to the Ninth Symphony fucking 25 times in a row with toothpicks in your eyes. It's like, who thinks of that? It's like, so. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that appeals to me. And then like your other kind of like the Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, that was those films were groundbreaking. You know, it's like the first image of, like, you know, Freddy coming through the wall. You know, all of a sudden, have you ever seen like a wall turn into a person and come down on the person? And it was like, holy shit, you know, and that was like the beginning, you know, of that whole like thing. And like, you know, with the girl in the bathtub and like, you know, the hands coming up, you know, it's like, so groundbreaking stuff.
I remember obviously going to school in infant school and people being scared of the son. Do you remember the son?
What, 1, 2, Freddy's After You, 3, 4? Yeah.
I mean, like, they couldn't bring themselves to sing it. It was mental. It was groundbreaking back in the day. I remember that.
Yeah, I think if I just to roll them off quickly, I think my top 5. It was so tough for me, but so I don't know if I put it in a full horror, but The Shining would be number 5. Jack Nicholson's my favourite actor, as you guys say. Superb. I don't think you'll get another Jack. He was one of a kind. He was absolutely brilliant, and he's sorely missed. As in filmmaking, he's retired now, so what an actor. Yeah. I think number 4 would have to be for me Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street. It was an absolute classic at the time, groundbreaking. And then my top 3, huge films, and we've already said 2 of them, would be The Exorcist. Linda Blair at the time was very young, I believe, for the part. I think we're talking at the age of 14. So the girl was 14 when they put the makeup on, etc. And that was banned for many, many years. So classic film. Texas Chainsaw Massacre would come in at number 2. It was actually mafia funded as well, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Was it? That's an interesting fact.
Yeah, it was mafia funded. And they were all college actors coming through. Gunnar Hansen, who played Leatherface, as I say, and then you had Edwin Neal, who played his brother, the maniac in the van, and they all got together, and it was in Houston, Texas. They filmed it, and it was a really, really hot summer's day. They started filming, and I think they filmed it in 30 days. But it's the highest, like basically how much you've spent on a film, how much they've made throughout the years on record.
Wow,
it's a classic. But and to be honest with you, as I say, I've got to introduce it because no one said it. So shamefully, number 1,
Frankenstein.
Michael Myers.
Oh, Michael Myers.
Halloween.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Oh,
for me.
Fuck! I was gonna say that. I was gonna say Halloween, but I forgot.
That for me is just a fantastic. There's no blood in there. There's nothing. It's just the scare factor. Donald Pleasance is absolutely fantastic in that film as well. But the actual face itself was made through what's his name, Captain Kirk. I'm trying to think of the guy's name now. What was his name? William Shatner.
William Shatner. It looks a bit like William Shatner, actually.
Yeah, it's true.
The creepy William Shatner. Is that what that was?
The mold after William Shatner. God's honest truth.
You can tell. You can tell now you've said it.
Yeah. And it was a classic film. It was a brilliant film and ahead of its time. Brilliant. And Jamie Lee Curtis, obviously, as Archie just said, she was fabulous in the film. Did you like Halloween, Cole, yourself?
Fuck yeah. I was gonna. Yeah, it was one of the movies that I was gonna mention because of that like terrifying, weird, thing. It's this is not the same genre, but it's like Jacob's Ladder. Like that kind of thing. It's like it's the unexplainable, that becomes like the truly terrifying. So I think that would be the through line. But yeah, I loved Halloween.
Unlike a lot of the others, the franchise has kept going as well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The ones we've mentioned, a lot of them haven't kept going, but that as a franchise has kept going. I mean, there's a lot of others I could have put in. I mean, people have mentioned in there The Thing. I loved The Thing when I first saw it. It was more sort of futuristic horror. Aliens, another futuristic horror. There was a few we could have put in there. Hills of Eyes was a bit weird. Did you know that Hills of Eyes was actually from a old 15th century Scottish legend, some sort of family? It was a weird. It was called the Sawney Bean clan, and it was based on them. Did
Well, no, I didn't know
Huh.
Yeah. Weird.
I'll have to look that one up, mate. I didn't know that. Wow.
You know all that stuff. Yes,
No,
you do.
yeah, of course I do. I've always known all this stuff. Yeah.
Going back to the Halloween as well. Danny McBride, the comedian, he's involved in the new setup with Halloween. I don't know if you were aware of that yourselves, but he's actually involved in that. And the new Halloween, they've got another one coming out in October. But what was it, Halloween 2018? It was really good. It was probably they made it a sequel from the original. So basically, they got rid of all the sequels.
Yeah,
and it was quite good. It was a good film, but yeah, I enjoyed it. But any other questions before we leave? Because I think we probably bored Cole to death now, and he probably wants to leave.
No, this has been awesome.
Oh no, yeah, just don't deny it, Carl. It's all right.
yeah.
I told you in the beginning I hated all of you, so we'd start on a baseline, so it can only get better, right?
Yeah, this is
a new movie. Carl hates us so much when he comes to England. he comes to the UK, and we all mysteriously start disappearing. There you go.
Yeah, there's some kind of Benny Hill in there somewhere. It could be an offshoot comedy. You never know.
But
what, you're chasing us around trees really fast with knives. Wow.
but for me, Cole, make it as sick as possible.
Absolutely. Well, I got you. No, I got you, man.
I've got the name. I've got the name, guys. There you go.
Wow.
Oh, Benny.
Shit. So, someone's got money right now,
Benny.
and they're going to do it. So you shouldn't have said it.
Benny
Dude, we're dying inside. We're dying.
And you, Carl, we got this, mate.
We're dying on stage here, mate. We're dying on stage. Cole, seriously though, thank you ever so much for your time. It's been wonderful talking to you, and I hope one day we can get you on again, if possible.
You there, Cole?
Are we back?
Cole,
okay, I'm back now.
I was just saying, thank you ever so much for your time. It was wonderful having you on. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. It's just, we've been on here for an hour and a half, and it's just flown for us. Obviously, for not for you, off of there with these guys. But honestly, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope we can get you on again, maybe in a few months' time, and talk some more about yourself and
the new film.
A new film. But it's been a real pleasure. It really has.
Well, I appreciate the time. This was a lot of fun. You never know what to expect, and you guys are all awesome. And I hate you a lot less now than I did an hour and a half ago. So thanks a lot, guys. No, I had a great time. Anytime.
Excellent.
Yeah, you're a good Carl.
I like to second that as well, Carl. I mean, I wasn't sure what to expect. I was asking these guys, do you think we'll be able to have a bit of a banter with him? Do you think he'll? And Johnny was like, "Oh no, he's all professional." But you proved us totally wrong.
Definitely not professional. Thank you.
Not professional. Definitely not that.
You brass-ass bastard. God, no.
But no, seriously, thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, obviously.
I appreciate it.
You're actually just a down-to-earth person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's how it's supposed to be. So yeah, and that's kind of like going back to what I was talking about, earlier, how money makes people weird, and don't take yourself too seriously, and we're all on this crazy little planet, with coronavirus right now. So you know what I mean? So yeah, just be real.
So what you're saying is, after this new movie comes out and you make £10 million, you still talk to us free, no problems.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, because here's the thing: it's like if with money, if you're a good person, you're gonna do good things. If you're an asshole, you're gonna do bad things. Or just keep it and fuck everyone else. So it's like I consider myself a pretty good person. So it's like I give money to homeless people. I when I go on a run, I bring $3 with me every time. So someone's getting $1, someone's getting $1, someone's getting $1. I don't know who's gonna be. But it's like, and I don't have any money right now, so this is just, people are suffering on this planet, and this is not an easy place to be, It's just not. So I think that if we can all try to help each other lift up, and try not to call each other names on Twitter and stuff like that, it's like, this, it's like Rodney King, in LA once said very famously, "Can't we all just get along?"
Remember that. Remember
Right.
that. Yeah.
Well, that's a great note to leave on, I think.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So again, brilliant, Cole. Thanks for your time, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Yeah.
My pleasure. I'll come back anytime.
That's really kind of you, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Cole. We definitely appreciate that. For everyone in the comments, thank you really much for everyone that's put your comments in and asked Cole a question. We really appreciate that. Thank you for the love. Everyone, please go and follow us on YouTube, Boardroom Bants, on Twitter, Room Bants, and Instagram, Boardroom Bants. And hopefully you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed our top 5 horror films. And we'll see you all again soon. Thank you very much.